Right, to the Kiwi Lads channel, we are back for another match of the LA Sevens. We've just seen Japan beat Kenya, which does now mean that Australia find themselves currently sitting fourth in their group. So if they win this, they'll be through to the next stage. Even if they end up losing this game, their points differentials should still be enough to get them through to the next stage in the competition. Whereas this Fiji side currently sitting 2 wins from 2. They've been looking impressive, and with this lineup, feel that they can really make an impact here in LA. Speaking of impacts, we've seen quite a bit of it in terms of the weather. Already games have been postponed just a little bit longer. As you can see, it says delayed. This game now is going to be taking place. Was originally supposed to start at about 3 p.m. Do now sit at 5:30. Looking through at the Fijian side, it will be Tavita Dalgunu, also Bathirenga, then also Naranivalu. That's a new name in the Fijian lineup, which I will have to get used to saying again. Waisena Thunu, Jerry Tawai, Ioani Teba, and also it is Loganamasi, the last man in their starting lineup. Then for the Australians, Nathan Lawson, Patterson, Tim Clements, Maurice Longbottom, Josh Turner, Dietrich Roach, and James Turner, the last of the Australian starting lineup. The rain is still falling in LA. Hopefully it is going to be a little bit drier tomorrow when we do get to the quarterfinal playoff games. But it is now going to be Dietrich Roach about to kick this one off for the Australians. Tries to keep it low, and of course, with the wetness of the field, it won't really skid on a huge amount. Does pull up pretty quickly, but nicely taken by Ioani Teba. First touch of the match for the Flying Fijians. Like this, there we go. The scoreboard is now updating. Thungu, nice pass on the outside. Looks like some good pace being shown as well here. It's going to be quite hard to stop him. He's still going. Has he got a number on his back? I don't think he does, but it is going to be Ranivalu who does score it. Someone forgot to add that man's number. It's number 16, and he has just scored on debut his first try for the Fijians. Just using his size. Patterson tried to cut him off. That was only really a half attempt from Dietrich Roach. He never really wanted to tackle the big flying Fijian winger. A great run from Noranivalu. Put the ball down, scores the try early. Fiji, dream start to this matchup, getting the kickoff, and then from there just using it to perfection. Thungu misses out to the left-hand side, so the score at this stage will remain at 5-0 in favour of the Fijians. But at age 23, debut tournament, maybe having quite the impact. Because that's the thing, Fiji have lost quite a few players due to injury. And Nadovalo's not there. He's one that I can think of. Also, they lost the big man who was out on the wing, the number 2, Talatholo. He's missing. Dietrich Roach slaps it back for the Aussies. Now they do find themselves inside of their own 22, taken down by Tavita Dalgunu. Dietrich Roach going to work hard for that one. Running sideways, gets nailed in the tackle by the Fijians, but now nice cut on the inside from Nathan Lawson. He's starting to find a bit of space. Looks like Ioani Teba just trying to slow him down a little bit. Nice offload to Maurice Longbottom. Australia trying to go the length of the field. Massive tackle attempt from Fiji. Unsuccessful. And Australia now score themselves their first try. I think this is going to be quite a high scoring game. We're almost about to see as many points as we saw between Japan and Kenya in their full 14 minutes in just the first about 2 minutes of this contest. Australia, nice offload from Lawson. Straight to Longbottom. Used that pace well. Just avoided Ioani Teba, who almost got him. He had a big smile on his face, Teba. I think felt that if he had dove just that little bit later, might have had half a crack at the number 11. That kick is unsuccessful. Great hands from the referee. Did take it below the posts. And the score will remain now 5-5 after the first 3 minutes of this contest. The way that the points table sits at the moment, due to that points differential, you do see the Kenyans sitting there on 5 points in fourth. Japan also sitting on 5 points, but they are actually above Kenya. So I believe because in their head-to-head, the Japanese were able to get themselves the win. That is actually what they go to before the points differential. Nicely controlled by Ioani Teba. The ball was rolling along the turf, and this turf's going to be really, really roughed up by the end of this LA Sevens competition. Nice run up the middle, looking for the dangerous offload, though. Ioane Teba once again using his football skills. Be able to keep it on the side of the Flying Fijians. Batiranenga doing well. 35 metres out from their own line here, going off to the right-hand side. Kicked him behind from Nathungu. Jumping onto it, Henry Patterson slides about 4 metres in the process. Now Turner goes to Josh Turner now. One more to Dietrich Roach. Finds the pass. And I have to mention Corey Toole doing very well for the Brumbies in his Super Rugby Pacific debut when they were taking on the Waratahs on Friday night. It was great to see him getting to have that success at Union alongside the Sevens that he has had in the past. And it just shows how strong players can be when they kind of switch between the different formats of rugby. We also saw the debut of Elia Thonakaivata for the Fijian Drua. Are able to get themselves a nice big win over Moana Pacifica with a last-minute try, making it 36 points to 34. Kicked him behind this time from James Turner, who jumps onto the ball, finds his offload. It might have been just handled well by Lawson. One of the Fijian players just disappeared out of the shot from sliding. And the second try of the match for the Australians, that will give them the 10-5 lead, and they should have a nice, easy kick in the process as well. But it was a risky offload from Nathungu. Didn't quite have the play he was lining up. Actually ready for that pass. And then Lawson was able to get it off the offload. Does end up scoring the try for the Aussies. Dietrich Roach taking plenty of time to make sure this one goes over. We did actually see the USA kicker Thomasine miss a kick earlier on from only about 5 metres out. He hit it below the crossbar rather than over the top. But Roach, no problems there. 12 points to 5 now in favour of the Aussies. The way that actually changes the table is quite massive because Australia would go top of the table ahead of Fiji. It doesn't matter about the points differential. It only matters about what happens in the head-to-head fixture between these two sides. So the winner of this game will have the second place team in the next pool, which does involve Ireland, and also, I believe, a little bit ahead is Uruguay. Then it goes South Africa and Canada. So more than likely, we're going to see Ireland taking on the loser of this matchup. And we'll have to wait and see who the winner does end up getting. Now, nice ball. It's going to be knocked on by, was Turner. Nicely claimed by Nathungu. Now Dalgunu gives it off on the inside to the new man in the side. Narani Valu, I should say, sorry. Jerry Tuwai. Having a carry, still well and truly the most experienced Fijian out there on the park. Always very handy when it comes to seeing those gaps starting to form. Pass out wide from Dangunu. Looking for the offload, ended up being able to find it nicely from Batiranenga. Now once again, Dalgunu ball on the inside. Batiranenga ready for the offload, gives it back. You'll never believe it. It's going to be Dalgunu again who offloads it to you'll never believe it. It's Batiranenga, but does end up going down in the end with the knock on. Those two were just playing their own game. They didn't need 7. They were just playing 2s out there on the park against the Aussies. It's offload to each other, and then from there, the inside ball back to his teammate. Another offload, straight back to Dalgunu. Goes straight back up to his feet there, Batiranenga. And they just called that one a knock on as he got forced into touch. Siren is gone, so we've just got this play. Looks like Australia will be going for the scrum, more than likely kicking this one into touch as they are inside of their own 22. You don't want to risk it by trying to make those extra meters. Definitely not on this part of the pitch. A long bottom. The ball in eventually. There we go. It's been put in. Back into the pocket. Kicked into touch by Josh Turner, and at halftime will be 12 points to 5 here between the two sides. But yeah, that match between South Africa and Ireland in the next grouping, that is going to be the one that definitely determines who finishes where. But then the other side of things is with Uruguay. Should mention that they lost to Ireland, but then they were able to get themselves the victory over South Africa 10 points to 5, which means that if South Africa and Uruguay are on the same points, Uruguay go through because of that head-to-head. That is something to keep an eye on as we get closer to those next games taking place. But currently, Fiji have confirmed their spot. Australia have also confirmed their spot through to the quarterfinals pretty much once they do get the points for this game. And then in the other groups, we're seeing Great Britain. They qualified top, so they will be going head to head with New Zealand in the quarterfinal. Argentina taking on Samoa. That will be a very awesome game between those two nations. And then we have got either Fiji versus Uruguay, Ireland, or South Africa, the more likely occurrence. And same can be said about the Australians, but 6 missed tackles from Australia in that first half. They were able to make 8, whereas Fiji, they missed 4, but only made the 2 tackles. So a little bit less clinical with the tackling, of course. The conditions can be blamed for that to a certain extent with how slippery it is out there on the field. Both sides struggling to find their footing at times. And if it's going to rain like this in LA tomorrow, the biggest part of it's going to be whichever teams adjust to these wet conditions the fastest and use those conditions to their advantage will more than likely be the side that are able, or that are able to walk away with a possible LA Sevens gold medal. So they are just showing that Uruguay going to be playing Canada in not too much time at all. If Uruguay beat the Canadians, they will be going through to the next stage, no matter how many South Africa win against Ireland or vice versa. It would be Uruguay through to a quarterfinal to take on the winner of this game. So it's not going to be too easy of a contest, but you never know. And is Australia out of the cup if they lose? They are not. They're lucky enough that because they were able to get themselves the victory over Japan, but they did lose to Kenya, I believe, for the Australians, if I'm not wrong, which actually helps them massively because of the way that it is sitting. So Australia, yeah, they beat Japan, but then they did end up losing to the Canadians, or sorry, the Kenyans, 12 points to 7. So it does mean that they are still in the top 2, even if they lose this game. But already a little handling error early on, and also maybe an injury at the moment. Rain has been extremely heavy in LA throughout this whole matchup, though. Very handy players coming off the bench for the Fijians in this game. Jeremiah Matana, Manueli Maisamoa, one of the best players at the moment for Fiji. The form that he's been in. Filippo Bukayaro, also Vakadanu, new name in there, and also Rasaku, the last man available for Fiji. And for the Australians, Trey Williams, Stuart Dunbar, Lancaster, Bird, and also Sargent. So they've gone with quite a few different names in this lineup for Australia. And also Fiji, come on boys, Tosso 50 Tosso, says DK, and okay, cool. Says Hanoi there. Yeah, it's more of a battle of who gets first place. Because if Australia win this, even though their points differential is nowhere near as much as the Fijians, Australia would still actually finish first because they go with the result between the sides and then they go with the points differential if it did end in a draw. Nicely stolen in the breakdown from James Turner. Now Roach slings it across now to Josh Turner. Currently sitting deep inside of their own 22 here, the Australians will have to try and find some sort of attack and play to get out of there. Now a big run from Patterson, goes across, out wide. Nice bit of stepping there from the young number 5, Tim Clements. And Cheers Amish says, David the Mob, welcome in, mate. Hope you are doing well. Next live stream that we have got after this one will be at 4 a.m. New Zealand time, and that is the matchup taking place between Scotland and France. So we will be scheduling that one pretty much straight after this live stream. And also, we will be scheduling a few of those quarterfinal fixtures on the channel as soon as they are confirmed, which is not too far down the line. It's just pretty much after Uruguay versus Canada. Then we'll know who's going through. Long bottom. They have this line out throw. Very deep breaths there. Crowds still sound like they're in decent voice in LA, which is good. This doesn't look too good, though, for one of the younger players. Looks like Tim Clement's going to be taken off the field due to an injury. A long bottom with 5 minutes left. About to throw this ball in. Fiji trying to distract him, and it must have worked because the Fijian lineout is successful. Now Jerry Tuai down the short side offload. And now Jeremiah Matana gets the try for Fiji. It's a slip and slide out there. And he slides from pretty much putting the ball down just over the line all the way dead. So it just shows if you're going to slide, make sure you put the ball down first. Or else you could end up finding yourself slipping and sliding to the dead ball line. But yeah, Jeremiah Matana. The other benefit, of course, is how quick that man is because he generated enough force and slide. So quite a few meters. Now Fiji, great kick, Oh, it's just hooked away to the left. Unlucky to miss out on that one, but the score now sitting at 10 points to 12. 4 minutes remaining on the clock. The start of possibly a Fijian comeback here. But Australia, don't get me wrong, even though they're missing some of those bigger names that they normally would have, they are still very, very capable of getting themselves a victory here over Fiji. I've just mentioned when you're ready, the Thungu about to do his drop kick. We are back underway for the last 4 minutes. Nicely taken by James Turner. Trying to go for a bit of a counter ruck there, Jeremiah Matani. He's been penalised for that one, though. So now Australia will have themselves a 30 metres out from their own line kick for touch. They'll certainly want to get a few extra metres on. Look like, oh, in fact, no, they say we want to take the tap instead. I think that was Josh Turner, a bit of seniority from that man. Gives it off to Longbottom. This is risky, though, being this close to the touchline and possession set piece. And defence is so vital. And then also we've got the Hamish says Amira, and Filippo's not very happy earlier on. It's quite funny because all of the chat, for some reason, wasn't coming through. And now it's only just come through. But yeah, you can catch the game in a lot of different places, Filippo. You've just got to have a brain cell to be able to find it. And Bulla Hamish says Amira and Jerry Tawai is key despite being a veteran now. Dual gold medalist, says DK. And let's go Aussie, go Fiji, go, says Syra. Do you reckon Scotland has a chance versus France? I think they've got their best chance for this year's Six Nations because of how good the form of Scotland has been. But France haven't quite found their form yet. So this could be the matchup that one side either loses their form or finds it. I can save a countdown, says Schlanger. I probably shot more at countdown, to be honest, out of the two, but we don't have either of them locally. So the local one's New World. I think maybe because you said earlier you weren't going to cover this game, says Hanoi there. I did indeed. And then I had the thumbnail and everything already done. And I was like, you know what? I'm wide awake. At this point, I thought I was going to be very sleepy, but I've still got a bit of energy left in the tank. Now, it's going to be in the hands of the youngster Lancaster, just outside of the 22. There's going to be a knock on against Fiji. And I was at least Fiji are in the last 8, regardless if they lose their semis. Those are true. And the same can be said about the Australians. Go Fiji, go. I was pleasantly surprised to see it. You see, that's the thing. Because it's happened later on in the day, it's made it slightly easier. Because originally the first game between Samoa and New Zealand was going to be 1:30. And then at that point, we weren't going to have much sleep beforehand. So we were going to sleep during the afternoon. Now it seems like we're going to have a bit more of an evening sleep and then get up for the Six Nations game between Scotland and France. And George will be joining me on that one. Great pressure from Fiji, knocking the ball loose. Oh, it's been taken straight back from Lancaster, doing well. But my Samoa on him and wins the penalty for the Flying Fijians. What's going on in the game, says Paul? It is a penalty to Fiji. And a bit of a stoppage there. And we're going to have another one, unfortunately, due to the scrum. But yeah, they were making subs just before. Tosa Vititoso says Amira, and also afternoon. Hamish says, Nate, welcome in, mate. Hope you are doing well, both sides. Strategically planning what their next move is going to be here, not rushing it. You've still got 90 seconds. There's only 2 points difference between the two sides. Come on, Vitti, says DK. And go Fiji, go, says Miradani. Lipo Bukayaro not going to be able to put the ball in for that one. Too much movement. Dalgunu's saying that the Australian didn't want to try and push into him. Do not step away. Comment very clear from the referee, and then the Fijian number 82 just yells straight at him, asking for stability. And Blues looked good yesterday, says Hanoi. They did, bringing up 60 points in the end. Now, Filippo Bukayaro once again going to be putting this ball in. Comes out nicely for the Fijians, who are 22 metres away from Australia's line now. Nice pass on the outside. Good hands from the number 24, Rasaku. He only just managed to hold it in the fingertips. Now my Samoa tries to pierce around the side of the breakdown. Josh Turner able to shut him down, but he finds the offload up to Rasaku, who runs sideways as well. Jeremiah Matana now. Fiji starting to build numbers on their outside, but instead cutting back inwards. Consider the offload. Held onto it well. Penalty goes the way of Fiji again. Now, quick tap taken. Thungu goes to the left. Pokiaro, he's through. The flyer number 9 scores the try, almost headbutts the barrier. Didn't even bother about putting his hand down in front of him either. He was just like, if I headbutt it, I headbutt it. But scores the try, gives Fiji the lead right near the end of this contest. Too much ball handling error due to wet weather, says Amira. Yeah, I really hope that it is a lot drier tomorrow in LA. I doubt that it will be completely dry, but just that little bit drier so that we get to see less handling errors, more free flow in rugby for all the sides. Iconic or ironic that the team is called Fiji Sevens since the Flying Fijians nickname for the 15s team. But it's all good, no problem, says Sammy Souza there. An afternoon, brother, says Devin the Mod. What's your sleep schedule like? Terrible over the weekends. At the moment, I've had 2 hours sleep that I squeezed in earlier. And then at that point before that, I had been up for 24 hours straight doing live streams and also playing sport in real life, which was not smart because I think I got sunburnt. You can see, and then God says, D Paul, yeah, great last minute try for the Fijians. So they have now got themselves locked in for quarterfinal number 2. Australia, they'll be disappointed, but they are still through to the quarterfinal stages. They will be playing in quarterfinal number 4 against the first in Pool B, which more than likely at this stage seems like it could end up being the Irish. But for anyone wondering when that quarterfinal matchup for Fiji will be taking place, that will be happening at 7:45 a.m. tomorrow morning. So it is straight after the Samoa versus Argentina fixture. But I do thank you all very much for tuning into this one. It still hasn't quite said that it's full time, but it will. There we go. It says finished. Keep up the good work, Hamish. Says DK, and thank you, Hamish, for your commentary. Says Amira, no worries at all. So yeah, the next game that we have got is at 4 a.m. New Zealand time. That will be Scotland versus France for the Rugby Union Six Nations. And then it is going to be the next matchup taking place, Samoa versus Argentina. That is at 7:20 a.m. We are also going to be covering. The Irish have come good lately, says Annoy. It's the 15s that count, says Choke the Woke. So theoretically, you'd be saying that Ireland have a good crack then, because they're currently sitting right up there in the world rankings in the union side of things, and they have got a game coming just around the corner as well up against the South Africans. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, like I mentioned, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We're going to be back for the quarterfinals, the semifinals, and the finals as well. Be sure to stick around. But I will see you all for the next one.